Twins get smoked in game one versus Houston. Chris Paddack, that's a night you want to forget. 10-3 your final. A full deep dive coming up next. Minnesota Twins postcast.
This is the Twins postcast. Your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's happening? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast right here. Lockdown Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. CJ Baumgartner. Give him a follow on X at BombCJ30. Plus, he's a Twins expert over at Zone Coverage. And normally, you know this. I always start with something game related, but this was so ugly, man. And this pretty much, we'll get into it, is over in the third inning. Let's go light. Let's go easy. Let's go fun for once right off the top. And lighten the mood a little bit before we got to get into all this nitty-gritty after that 10-3 loss. Top 3 favorite baseball movies. What are they? You're stranded on an island, right? 3 baseball movies you got to watch over and over and over. Give them to me.
Okay. There's a lot to choose from, and I'm sure somebody's going to be in the comment section with my opinions. And they probably have a case. But here we go. I'm going to say number 1, Sandlot. You just have to. It's got to be on there. Number 2, Little Big League is just a very great underrated baseball movie. Talk about the Minnesota Twins, of course. So that's there. And Moneyball, just because I can just watch that movie again and again and again. And there's some really great movies you got to leave off that list. I'm sure like Major League is really close, but I mean, forgot
about Moneyball. Yeah. So Sandlot, Field of Dreams, top 2 for me.
Sandlot, Little Big League, and Moneyball.
No, sorry, that's my top 3. Great top 3, by the way. Extremely difficult task, by the way. Like you said, got to leave out some great ones. Field of Dreams, Sandlot, 1 and 2 with a bullet for me. Prisoner of the Moment. I watched Angels in the Outfield last night with my nephew and niece, and here's why it blew my mind. It's great, right? Great Disney. The cast is just loaded with young talent. Matthew McConaughey, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tony Danza, Danny Glover, Adrian Brody going on to win an Oscar. Cast is loaded, but I'll tell you what, I forgot about Moneyball. I'm with you. You throw that on anywhere. I mean, it could be 20 minutes in, an hour in. That's on TV. That's on cable. I'm finishing that sucker. That one's so good with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. So that might be my top 3, but we had to start off just a little lighter because lots to get into. Unfortunately, Chris Paddack, night to forget. Royce Lewis, though, finally goes deep. Been a while for him. Before we get into all that, though, first, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Game Time. Game Time, download that Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Here's your quick little recap. Again, Twins Astros, game 1 in Houston, just played the Rangers at home. Just lost 2 of 3 to the Rangers, by the way, trying to turn things on a little bit. Chris Paddack on the mound. Rough. 4 innings, 12 hits, 8 earned runs, just 1 K. And after it's 8-0 after 3, it's kind of tough to ask your offense to come bail you out from a hole like that. And they didn't, by the way. They didn't. 8 hits on the night, but could never string together that big crooked number you needed, right? 0 for 2 tonight with runners in scoring position. They had 3 home runs, unfortunately, all solo shots. Willie Castroy, Royce Lewis, Ty France. 10-3, that was your final. 36 now and 33, just slowly creeping back down to 500. What was your biggest takeaways, kind of your 8 topics, I guess? What stuck out the most from tonight?
I mean, it's got to be the starting pitching once again. Chris Paddack, had his second start of the year where he's given up 9 runs, and it hadn't happened since back in April. So he's pitched really well in between these 2 starts. But overall, the starting rotation this week is like we've talked about before, has been the strength of the team. And for them to just kind of no-show in a week where it's been really important, a week and a half, 10 days since you've lost Pablo Lopez, you feel like that's a unit that's got to pick up the slack, and they just have done the exact opposite. That's been very weird. And by the way, I think something that too should be mentioned off the top for another big kind of takeaway. Again, as I was getting ready, I didn't quite have the game right on front of mind here, but as I was getting ready to hop on with you here, but according to Fox 9 Sports as well, Royce Lewis limps off the field as well in this game. So like we talked about, he had a couple really nice hits, home run, and
let's shelf that just for a second. I want to ask you about Royce Lewis actually in segment 2. Yeah, Chris Paddack. I guess a little bit more deep dive on him. He had a gem, right? Just a gem. I mean, one of his best outings, maybe of his career. I want to say, 2 starts ago, maybe 3. Didn't feel like that long ago. Fast forward to tonight, almost unplayable if you're going to go out and put up that type of outing. Again, 4 innings, 12 hits, 8 earned, just 1 K. Is that just kind of one of those, is what it is? You know what? You're just going to have those nights. He's one of those kind of guys in your rotation where you're just going to have some blow up games, some bad games. Or did that surprise you, just given how much higher his ceiling has kind of looked the last few outings out there? Like, a bad night is fine once in a while, of course. But to get tuned up like that, that worry you at all? Just given the status of the rotation, where we're at right now with no Pablo, knowing everybody else, as we've talked about so much, is going to have to pick up some slack.
Yeah, I think it's not so much if you just look at Chris Paddack in one singular kind of Chris Paddack start, because as we talked about, he's pitched really well over the last couple months. It's just been blow up starts happen. That's a lineup in Houston that still has some thump, even though they aren't kind of what they've been in years past, but they're still a good lineup. And, blow up starts are going to happen now again and then against anybody, but it's just kind of the context surrounding his start where you really needed a pick me up from a veteran. Bailey Ober wasn't able to give you that yesterday, and you really needed one from Paddack. And now that's been kind of 3 of the last 4 games. Your starting rotation has gotten shelled, and it's been just kind of a really a bleak thing. So that's kind of more, it's not so much Paddack is in trouble.
Yeah.
It's just more of like, you really needed a good start from a veteran. And now that's 2 nights in a row you haven't gotten one.
Plenty more deep dive. Want to ask you a little bit more about Royce Lewis's home run and now his subsequent injury as well. That's all coming up, though, right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Why I love FanDuel? When you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can go check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Again, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you hit your first $5 wager. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com. Get some MLB future action while you're there. Twins sitting at plus 500 right now to win the AL Central. It's all sitting up, though, over at FanDuel.com. Again, check it all out over at FanDuel.com and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Before we talk about Royce, nerdy stat of the day, I'm a little worried after you get bombed like that. But any crazy stat from tonight, any crazy fun analytic, I guess, Twins related?
Well, here's this one. So Pablo Lopez made his last start on June 3rd. That's when he got injured and missed, and now he's got the shoulder issue. He's out for 2 months. He's on the 60-day IL. Since when Pablo Lopez pitched on June 3rd, the Minnesota Twins starting rotation ERA was 3.43. That was 5th best in baseball. Really, really good, really exciting. Since Pablo Lopez has been gone, since June 4th, albeit it's 9 days, it's a small sample size, take it for what it's worth. It's just 1 week. But the Twins starting rotation has had an ERA, and that's not counting tonight, by the way, of 7.07, the worst in Major League Baseball over the last week. Yikes.
Not great. Not great. Not including tonight, too, which makes that even a little bit more wilder, to be honest. Crazy news you just dropped about Royce Lewis. Obviously, his big bugaboo's just been staying healthy, a la, Byron Buxton and everybody else. But I was going to kind of ask you after that home run. Obviously, he missed a chunk of the season to start, right? But healthy since then. I think the hope was, and we've talked about it, like if you got a healthy Buxton, Correa, and Royce, that's kind of what we've all been waiting for. I don't have the numbers in front of me like you do, but just watching these games after games after games, it feels like Royce has been the one guy out of those 3 that just really hasn't lived up to the expectations. I mean, he homered tonight, which was great to see. Unfortunately, I think the next thought a lot of Twins fans have is like, when's the last time that guy's done that? Or just had, a really great night at the plate even, one of those 3 for 5 kind of nights. Feels like it's been more bad than good with him, has it not? And I guess before we talk about the injury, how would you even rank Guerrera and Royce Lewis compared to their expectations coming in at 2 and 3 of those big three? Because we know Buck Truck is number one with a bullet right now, right? Just ripping it up.
Yeah, exactly. Buxton number 1 and Correa's number 2, just mainly because he's been on the field for more throughout the season, and that bat's shown not the life it did last year when he made the All-Star game, but certainly more than Royce Lewis has. This was the first home run he's hit since May 18th back in Milwaukee on that game where the winning streak was snapped. That was the last home run he had hit, at least on the games I'm looking, or I'm trying to go here. Trying to see if there was another home run I'm missing. That
feels right. As crazy as that sounds, it feels right.
Yeah, it is. It's the last home run he's hit since that. And if we're looking at doubles he's hit since that point, he's had 2. So just not a lot of extra base hits that have come from Royce. He's hit some balls hard. He's gotten some singles. But overall, he's a guy that's really just struggled to find his stuff at the plate. And here's the thing with Royce Lewis, now that he's finally kind of getting enough of at-bats for teams to know kind of how to attack this guy. Royce Lewis is somebody who got called up to the major leagues in 2022 after being drafted out of high school in 17. So he played a full minor league season in 18 and 19. But then in 2020 missed it because of COVID. And then in 21 tore his ACL. And then in 2022 got fast tracked to the majors anyways, was looking really good, and then tore his ACL again. Yeah. So he's physically okay enough to withstand those injuries. But the problem is he just doesn't have a ton of at-bats as you would expect a top prospect, even somebody who's came through the minors relatively quickly to have. He's having to learn all of this on the fly, and he's been able to do well initially because he's talented and he works hard and whatever.
Just the raw talent gets you by. Yeah.
Right. And that only can carry you to a certain point. And now this is where, and I'm not saying he can't do it, but he just has to learn. And unfortunately for him, there is no go to AAA and learn for a little bit, because he just is at the point in his career where you kind of just have to figure out how to learn to do it in the majors, and that's tough to do.
Yeah, talk to me about the injury now. Now what? Obviously, we don't know the severity. Is it a 10-day, 15-day? Is it a month, 2 months type of situation? I mean, what does the lineup feel like without Royce Lewis, but also knowing how much he struggled as well?
Yeah, I mean, the sad part is it doesn't impact them necessarily that much because he just hasn't been that productive lately. Yeah. Brooks Lee would go to third base and play there, and second base would be open up to a Cody Clemens or a Willie Castro, kind of depending on the situation. I think no matter how severe the injury is, we probably, unless it really is nothing, we probably don't see Royce Lewis in the lineup tomorrow for sure, as they kind of evaluate things. And who knows, right? Like, we'll get more information in kind of the coming days. So I don't want to speculate too much on kind of long-term stuff, but in the short term, Brooks Lee go to third, and then Cody Clemens and Willie Castro kind of figure things out over at second base as well. And that'll kind of be what the Twins will have to do. And it just, even though he hasn't had a ton of production at the plate, it's still just, you're one less person on that totem pole. Everybody has to slide up one. And we talked about it when Lewis came back. Everybody kind of gets to slide back into their normal spots. Well, now you kind of have to do that backwards again. So that's, again, the downside. Even if he's not performing, you still feel like you're playing out of position to make up for it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a guy like Rocco, luckily you got a lot of puzzle pieces to play with, but some nights you don't want to put the puzzle together, right? You just want the puzzle be done with and put that on the shelf. Back to the puzzle pieces, it sounds like. Pending, again, we're not going to speculate. We'll find out a lot more after tomorrow on tomorrow's postcast, but we'll catch you up then. Don't go anywhere. Preview game 2, Joe Ryan on the mound tomorrow, 3:10 start. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 10 million members to date. For me and my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. It's so simple, too. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, stolen bases, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. Game 2 tomorrow. Got to bounce back strong after that one. You got Joe Ryan on the mound. Just simplify it for me. #1 thing, maybe it's a player, whatever it may be, you're thinking about or looking at tomorrow for the Twins to get back on track.
Yeah, well, to keep up with the theme of the starting pitching of this episode, I mean, you just need Joe Ryan to be a stopper. Bailey Ober has looked not great over the last kind of few starts here. Chris Paddack has been good, but had the blow-up start yesterday. Joe Ryan is the most experienced member of this Twins rotation at this point, kind of in, at least to Twins fans. This is kind of the guy who, when Pablo Lopez goes down, you need to step up. Joe Ryan has been having a really good season so far to this point. You need him to be the stopper. It was kind of like a couple of years ago, and that puts a lot of pressure on him. A couple of years ago, and it was just him and Sonny Gray in 22 when they started to slide. He said it felt like if I didn't have a good day, then we weren't going to win until I pitched again. And that's kind of how things feel right now with Joe Ryan. You need him to have a quality start. Go 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. You need that. Need it. And then comparatively on the other side of the ball on offense, you need some quick runs in this game. You can't wait until the 4th or 5th inning to scrape 1 or 2 across. You need to get 1 in the first 3 innings at least, just to give your pitching staff a little bit of breathing room to where they don't have to get out there and feel like they need to be perfect every single inning. It feels like it's really basic stuff. I simply would just score first and not let the other team score. But that's kind of what they need to do just to get themselves into some kind of groove. And if it's like 5th inning and you're at no score, it's not that the Twins are out of the game or if they're down by a run, but it just certainly feels a lot tougher to come back from, especially just the way they've played over the last week.
I kind of forgot Little Big League. You get that Ken Griffey Jr. cameo in there too. Plus
you get a lot of cameos now, and there's a Randy Johnson cameo in there.
RJ, that Seattle game.
Pudge Rodriguez was in there.
Pudge, I got some Pudge rookie cards sitting back here somewhere.
Nice.
Not enough time for that. Twins get smoked in Game 1 versus Houston. Chris Paddack, rough day at the office. 4 innings, 12 hits, 8 earned. Plus Royce Lewis hobbled as well. 36-33 now on the year, dripping below. Starting to get back to 500 there. Huge shout out, though, to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys come in the chat with us from game to game. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out all CJ's work at BombCJ30 on X, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. Again, Game 2 tomorrow, 3:10 first pitch. Joe Ryan on the mound. We'll catch you right here, same time, same place. But until then, signing out.